Hey Clubhouse, Erin here. We are now on Ko-Fi, a support platform where you can help us grow while gaining access to exciting new Storytime adventures like never before. Head to ko-fi.com and search Hippocampus Clubhouse in the Explore tab, where you'll find multiple ways to offer support, from one-time donations to choosing one of 4 membership options, all of which allow you even more access to both me and the Clubhouse, with special ways of saying thank you, including a personal shout-out to you right here on the podcast. Whether you're a monthly member, a one-time contributor, following us on Instagram, or simply love tuning in and sharing our story time with friends, we are so thankful for your support. Now, on to the show. Welcome back to the Hippocampus Clubhouse. Erin here, and today at the Clubhouse, we're learning about big feelings like envy, gratitude, and the power of kindness. And we'll discover that sometimes, while looking hard at a few things we may not have, we can reveal all of the far more important things that we do have in our lives. And often, those are what's most important. To help us see that, we'll meet Jeremy, who very much wants a pair of the newest shoes that everyone at school seems to have. The trouble is, his family only has enough money for the things that they need, not the things that they want. But Jeremy still really wants those cool shoes. Will he get them? Here to tell us more is my son, Bryant.
My name is Bryant. I'm 3 years old. My book is Those Shoes by Maribeth.
Thank you, Bryant, for that wonderful introduction. Now, let's get comfy cozy and ready to open our hearts and minds with Those Shoes, written by Maribeth Boelts. Those Shoes. My name is Jeremy. I'm walking home from school and I see a huge billboard with my favorite athlete wearing those shoes. I have dreams about those shoes. They're black high tops with 2 white stripes. And they are the coolest. Everybody wants them. Only the cool kids have them. When I'm home, I'm sitting with my grandma and I start to color. I tell my grandma, "Grandma, I want them. I want those cool shoes." Grandma says, "There's no room for want around here, love. Just a need. And what you need are boots for winter." The next day, I go to school and I see my friend Brandon T, and he comes to school in those shoes. He says that he's the fastest runner now. Not me. But I was always the fastest runner before those shoes came along. And now I'm in class, and Nate comes to school with those shoes too. Antonio, my friend that sits behind me in class, we count how many times Nate goes to the bathroom, just so he can walk up and down the hall real slow and show off his new shoes. 7 times we count. 7 times in one day. Just to show off the shoes? Now we're at lunch. And now I see that Alan, Jacoby, and Terrence each got a pair of those shoes too. I can barely hold my lunch tray. I'm so distracted that everybody has those shoes but me. Then one day, I'm outside playing with everybody at school, and in the middle of kickball, one of my shoes completely falls apart. The whole bottom just falls off, and now all I see is my stocking feet, bare and a little wet. I go back into the school, and I find Mr. Alfrey, my guidance counselor. He says, "Looks like you could use a new pair of shoes, Jeremy." And he brings out a box of shoes and other stuff he has for kids who need things. He helps me find the only shoes that are my size. But they're Velcro. like the ones my little baby cousin Marshall wears. And they're baby blue and have an animal on them from a cartoon that I don't think any kid has ever watched. Ever. Certainly not me. I put them on and they fit. I have to wear them because I'm still at school. I can't go through school with just socks on. I certainly can't go home without shoes on my feet. So I head back down the hallway, and when I come back to the classroom, Alan Jacoby takes one look at my shoes from Mr. Alfrey and laughs. And so do Terrence and Brandon T. and everyone else. I'm so embarrassed. I hate these shoes. But the only kid that's not laughing is my friend that sits behind me, Antonio Parker. He actually looks sad. Sadder than me. I head back home, and Grandma says to me, "How kind of Mr. Alfrey." I nod and I turn my back to her. I'm not going to cry about dumb shoes. Besides, I have to do my homework. But when I'm writing my spelling words later, every word just looks like shoes. And my grip is so tight on my pencil, I think it might bust. I just can't think about anything other than those shoes and how everyone has them but me. On Saturday, Grandma says, "Let's check out those shoes you're wanting so much. I've got a bit of money set aside. Might be enough. You never know." And I am so excited I wolf down my oatmeal and get ready to go. Once we're at the shoe store, I find those shoes and I hand them to Grandma. She turns them over so that she can check the price. But when she sees it, her eyes get big and she sits down on the bench heavy. Maybe they just wrote it down wrong, I say. But Grandma shakes her head. They got the price right, and it's really high. As we're leaving the store without the shoes, we walk out, and then I remember the thrift shops. I get so excited, and I drag Grandma by the arm, screaming, "What if there's a rich kid who outgrew his, or got 2 pairs for Christmas, and maybe had to give one of them away?" So we ride the bus to the first thrift shop. Black cowboy boots, and pink slippers, and sandals, high heels, every kind of shoes, except the ones that I want. Then we ride another bus to the second thrift shop. Not a pair of those shoes in sight. But around the corner is the third thrift shop. There, shining so bright, I see something in the window. I run inside and I pick them up. They're black shoes with the 2 white stripes. High tops, perfect shape, just like the ones my favorite athletes wear. And they're only $2.50. Those shoes, the ones that everybody has, are only $2.50. That's pennies compared to what they were in the regular store. My heart is pounding so hard as I take off my own shoes from Mr. Alfrey and I hitch up my baggy socks. "How exciting," Grandma says. "But what size are they, hon?" I shove my foot into the first shoe without even answering, curling my toes to get the heel in. I don't know, but, I think they fit. I can tell they don't. They're so tight, my feet feel like they might break in half. Grandma kneels on the floor and feels for my toes at the end of the shoe, and she can tell they're crumpled. "Oh, Jeremy, hun," she says, "I can't spend good money on shoes that don't fit." I pull the other shoe on tight and I try to walk around. "They're okay, Grandma. I promise, they're okay," I say, holding my breath and praying that my toes will fall off right then and there. But my toes don't fall off. These shoes are everything I want, but they hurt my feet and don't fit at all. I buy them anyway with my own money, and I squeeze them on as I limp to the bus stop. At home, a few days later, Grandma puts a new pair of snow boots in my closet, brand new, and doesn't say a word about my 2 big feet shuffling around in my 2 small shoes. I'm putting Band-Aids on my feet now because the blisters are just so painful. Sometimes shoes stretch, I say to Grandma. And Grandma just gives me a look and gives me a hug. I check every single day before school, but those shoes just don't stretch. I have to keep wearing my Mr. Alfrey's to school instead. Ugh, it's so embarrassing. One day, during math, I see Antonio up at the chalkboard writing out a math problem, and I glance down at Antonio's shoes. One of them is taped up. Really taped up. They're old and broken and barely held together, and his feet look much smaller than mine. After school, I head to the park to think. I just need to think about what to do. My head is telling me one thing, but my heart is telling me another. Antonio is there too. Antonio, my friend who sits behind me in class. The only kid that didn't laugh at me at my Mr. Alfred cartoon shoes. We shoot some hoops together, and right as Antonio makes a basket, a loose piece of tape on Antonio's shoe smacks the concrete every time he jumps. It really looks like his shoes are just about to fall apart. I think to myself in my mind, I'm not gonna do it. Then we go to swing and we leap off, and I see his shoes coming apart even more. Antonio doesn't really notice, but I say to myself again in my head, nope, I'm not gonna do it. Now we decide to race, and we race from one end of the playground to the other, and I can see that Antonio's shoes aren't gonna last much longer. I'm not gonna do it, I say, out loud. Antonio stops running and says, do what? Breathing hard. Antonio and I start walking back to my grandma's house, and she sees us and calls me in for supper and invites Antonio over too. We eat a great meal together, and then after supper, we go into my room to hang out and play. That's when he spies my shoes. Those shoes. How come you don't wear these? Antonio asks, looking at them with excitement. I shrug. My hands are sweaty, and I can feel him wishing that those shoes, my shoes, were his. I can tell that they would fit him too, much better than they fit me. That night, after Antonio goes home and it's time for bed, I'm awake for a long time, looking out my window to the moon and thinking about Antonio. And when morning comes, I try on those shoes, my shoes, one more time. Before I can even change my mind, I shove my shoes into my coat. I put on my Mr. Alfrey shoes and I run outside of my building and across the street. Snow is beginning to fall as I run across to Antonio's apartment, and I put the shoes from my pocket, those shoes, in front of his door, push the doorbell, and run. I look back just in time to see Antonio open his door and be so happy and surprised. Once at school, Antonio is smiling big in his brand new shoes. Those shoes. They fit him perfectly, and everyone in class is so happy for him. But I feel happy for me when I look at his face. But also, I feel mad when I look at my Mr. Alfrey shoes. Later on, though, when it's time for recess at school, something happens. Everywhere there is snow. It snowed so hard during lunch. Our teacher announces, "Leave your shoes in the hall and change into your snow boots, please." Leave your shoes in the hall. Oh, that's when I remember what I have in my backpack. My new boots. My new snow boots from Grandma. The new black boots that no one had worn before but me. I put them on and I stand in line. And as I'm ready to go to recess, Antonio leans forward and whispers in my ear, "Thank you. Thank you for those shoes." I smile and I give him a little nudge. Together we go outside, and he in his snow boots and me in my new ones. I say, "Let's race." And we run together, laughing, happy, and grateful for friendship. The end. Wow, what a very special story. I especially liked how Jeremy, while still heartbroken his own pair of those shoes didn't fit him, he was able to see past it and gave his friend Antonio his pair, for he saw that Antonio needed them far more than he did. Jeremy's ability to help his friend and see the joy it brought far outweighed the joy he tried to feel when forcing his 2 big feet into those shoes that were just too small. At the same time, Jeremy was able to recognize that even though he didn't have those shoes anymore, he did have a loving grandma, a kind school counselor, a brand new pair of awesome snow boots that no one had ever worn before, and the love and gratitude of a very good friend. And to Jeremy, all of that was far more important than just one pair of shoes. What about Bryant? What did you like about this story?
I like the story because Jeremy donated his shoes to his friend when his friend's shoes were broken. That made his friend so happy in his heart and made me happy in my heart too. I like to donate toys too.
Thank you for sharing that amazing outlook with us, Bryant. And I hope you, our listeners, also enjoyed those shoes and maybe learned something new to share with those in your world. Thanks for joining us for Storytime. And if you're new to the Clubhouse, be sure to click subscribe. And if you like what you hear, leave us a positive review and a 5-star rating. We greatly appreciate your support and always love having new visitors at the Clubhouse, for our Storytime is welcome to all. Be sure to tell your friends to join us next time. If you'd like to have your child featured on our podcast just like Bryant, with their favorite title in line with our platform, visit our website at hippocampusclubhouse.com and under podcast, click on Storytime Voices. While you're there, check out our one-stop bookshop to find new titles to love, and don't forget to join the Clubhouse mailing list to learn about new story adventures ahead, sensory-based activities for all, free Storytime-related printables, and more. To find out more, head to our Connect page. Until next time, be sure to tell your story with an open heart while listening to others with an open mind. Just like Jeremy.